Welcome to the Reverberations Podcast, where we explore the human experience and the journey of self-discovery. What's good, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Reverberations. This is your host, John Stuart. And this week, we're going to be tuning into another way to be. There is another way, one that begins in how we listen, how we choose to see one another, a way that remembers what we've forgotten, that humanity was never meant to be controlled. It was never meant to be dominated. It was meant to be honored, to be cherished, to be supportive, to be a shared experience where we looked out for one another. And we've built such incredible, miraculous structures of the imagination, towers of progress that reach to the clouds, though our roots, they ache for presence. And we've learned to speak in numbers and metrics and margins, bottom line. But somewhere along the line, we stopped listening to our hearts. The message between the words. There's been such a focus on competition, on development, on capitalization, on growth, on progress. Though as Leo Marx says, progress towards what? What are we progressing to? What is our end goal? What are we trying to do? What are we serving? And as we see right now, we're confronting the darkest shadows of humanity. Everything is coming to the surface. And we have a choice to face. All of us. I have a choice to face. How do I show up every single day to be the living example of what I know to be true? To support a more sustainable and harmonious co-creative experience for everything in existence. Human beings are born free and equal in dignity and in worth. Not just some of us, all of us, every single one of us. It is something that we walk with. It is something that we carry. Somewhere along the way, we traded belonging for borders, turned community into competition, confused growth with goodness, and forgot that every single right we claim carries a responsibility and accountability to one another, to the earth, for the generations that have yet to be born into existence. What are we creating? What are we building? What is this progress? There is another way. A way that's beyond the noise of our politics and our fears. A way that is seen through our art, that is heard in the voices of us all, through the hands of our workers, through the courage of those that choose care over control. It's relational, it's grassroots, it's inclusive, it's just. It breathes through the essence of all of us. We have to see things beyond the form that they are now. If governance is necessary, what is it that we need? To be seen, to be heard, to be honored, to be valued, to be supported, to be uplifted, to be encouraged, leadership that serves, an economy that restores, revitalizes, and technology that remembers humanity in each of us, innovation that is responsible, in systems that are participatory, that are ethical, that are reverent. In this way doesn't begin in the institutions, in the corporations, in the boardrooms, in the ballrooms. And this way doesn't begin with power. It begins with the people, with you, with me, with them, with all of us. It begins right here, right now, in how we speak to each other, how we choose to see one another. It begins when we refuse to let fear define our future, when we remember that when presence is embodied in our purpose, and purpose is in our presence, we awaken to something that we've always known to be true. Community is a call of the people across all boundaries. There's one human family where our lives are a living declaration to build systems that feel alive, that honor the difference, that are harmonious, that are sustainable, where justice isn't punishment. Justice is holding reverence as presence. There is another way, and it's here. It's always been here within each and every single one of us. Within you, within me, within us all. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't hate. It doesn't pick and choose. And we stand at a crossroads, and the choice is ours. Just because it has been this way doesn't mean that it always has to be that way. In 1948, humanity made a promise to itself, a declaration, universal in spirit, simple in truth. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. This wasn't just a political act. This was a collective remembrance of who we are, of our values, of another way to be that transcends borders, race, religion, nations, people. So here we are, advanced, connected, yet lonely and divided. And our human story is still yet to be written, and we are the ones that are writing it. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a living document. I question myself sometimes is why did we have to write a document to write down what should be inherent? The fact that we have to write human rights into law. We are being invited to consciously evolve, to choose in every single moment. Yes, it does require presence. Yes, it may take time. Though anything worthwhile does. It may not happen overnight. Though the investment that we make in ourselves and each other is one that will span the test of time for generations to come. One in which we will invest in each other, in our collective belonging, and shift from hierarchy to harmony. One of the choices that we have to make is we have to look at another way to govern, another way to build economies, to educate children, to lead nations, to lead one another. We have to look at what growth really is. What is progress? What are the fundamentals of education? We have to look at the ways that reflect life itself, that are cyclical, adaptive, and relational in nature. There's a vision for regenerative governments that's rooted in values, ethics, and participation. It begins by asking challenging questions. What if leadership was measured not by control, rather by coherence, connection? What if education systems prepared our hearts as much as our minds, that taught values before numerical values? What if we designed cities as ecosystems that were in alignment with nature? What if belonging was the metric of success? These aren't utopian dreams. These are living examples of what's unfolding before us in this new social symphony. From the ground up, communities are remembering this. We are being guided back to how we relate with everything, because this is the foundation of life, relationship. It's the foundation of creation. This is the call. This is a call to each and every single one of us to stand up for what we stand for. Not a call to arms, but a call from our hearts. What is it that we truly desire? Deep down, what is it that we need? To feel safe, to feel secure, to feel seen, to feel valued, to feel honored. This is a call to the teachers, the ones that are shaping the future, one lesson at a time. This is a call to the musicians, the poets, the policymakers. Each of you, each of us carry a note in humanity's unfinished song. This revolution won't be televised. It'll be harmonized within and throughout. Because every single voice matters. Every one matters. Every body matters. Whether we agree or disagree, disagreement is necessary for the evolution of humanity. It offers perspective. Are we willing to lean in? Are we willing to listen actively? Without jockeying for position, without dominating the conversation. Because everything contributes to the whole. Every act of courage, every moment of integrity amplifies the resonance of what's possible. Are we willing to believe that once what was impossible is possible? Dignity is a non-negotiable. Life is sacred. And this other way is a way that honors the sacredness of life. A way that's rooted not in ideology or division, rather in shared values, ethics, and the courage to truly see one another. This isn't a dream. This is our reality. This is what we get to co-design as a conscious act of remembering who we are and what we owe to one another as members of one human family. Every system, political, social, ecological, begins at the level of relationship, and every relationship begins within. As I wrote in It All Begins With You, transformation isn't about fixing the world out there. It's about reclaiming the integrity in here. The alignment between what we know is right and how we actually live. And the courage to recognize when we're not in alignment. Because if we don't honor that alignment, we become fragmented. And that shows up everywhere, in all things. In our politics, in our workplaces, in our homes, in our communities. In the essence of who we are. Though when we reconnect, when we really start to take responsibility for our impact, for our words, our energy, our presence, we begin to reweave the social fabric. That's how change happens. Not through control, not through blame, through belonging, through personal responsibility and accountability. That's rooted and anchored in our heart space. Harmony, sustainability, reverence, they're not lofty ideals. They're ways of being, practiced moment to moment, choice by choice. It's how we treat the person who disagrees with us. It's how we show up when nobody's watching. It's how we repair what we break in each other and in ourselves. And in 1948, after the devastation of war, the world came together to write what still might be one of humanity's greatest love letters to itself, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It begins with these words in the preamble: recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. Let's pause there. Let's take that in. Inherent dignity, equal and inalienable rights, not earned, not conditional, not granted by anyone, any government or ideology, simply inherent. It's a revolutionary idea that necessarily shouldn't be revolutionary, though it is. It means that every human being, regardless of race, gender, faith, background, carries the same sacred worth. It's not just about protection from harm. It's about participation in life. Article 1 declares, all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. I'm going to reframe that last line. Should act towards one another in a spirit of shared humanity. This is the moral foundation of every sustainable society, every harmonious experience. It's the invitation and the challenge to see the divine in every single face, every stranger, every refugee, every neighbor, everyone that disagrees with us. It begins by asking the question, do I treat others as if their life has equal worth and value to mine? Article 2. Everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration without distinction of any kind. Fairness, equality, recognizing that difference is our superpower, that diversity of language, color, faith, culture is our strength. And when we honor difference, we expand the circle of belonging, deepen our connections. How do we see one another? Article 3. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of person. Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual safety. The right to exist without fear. Where our communities are rooted in trust. Where we protect not just our own freedom, we protect each other's. Article 4. No one shall be held in slavery or servitude. While slavery may not look the same today as it once did, enforced labor, economic inequities, systems that value profit over people, freedom begins when we refuse to participate in anything that dehumanizes another being. Are we willing to stand up for one another? Article 5. No one shall be subjected to torture or to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment. Cruelty goes beyond the physical. It's emotional, psychological, systemic. Integrity means choosing right relationship, even when the opposite feels easier, when anger feels easier. It means absolutely refusing to dehumanize anyone for any reason, including ourselves. Article 6. Everyone has the right to recognition everywhere as a person before the law. To be recognized is to be seen, to be honored, to be valued, to be cherished as a part of this human experience. How can we write our story? Our call is to see one another as a masterpiece, an artistic creation. Article 7. All are equal before the law. Justice requires consistency, competency, and courage. It means that we have to hold ourselves to the same ethical standards that we expect of others. Accountability begins with how we lead, how we speak, how we treat others, especially those that are marginalized and compromised. Article 8. Everyone has the right to an effective remedy. This is about repairing what has been done. Healing requires action. Integrity demands that we make it right. Acknowledging our wrongs, a change in our behavior, a commitment to do better, to be better together. Article 9. No one shall be subjected to arbitrary arrest, detention, or exile. Freedom is fairness. Not one person is silenced, mitigated, punished unjustly. Forgiveness of self and others is how we break those chains. Are we willing to forgive? Are we willing to let go of the chains of the past? Let go or be dragged. Article 10. Everyone is entitled in full equality to a fair and public hearing. Transparency is a pillar of trust. Whether that's in courts or conversations, fairness requires us to listen actively before casting judgment. And that we bring our truth forward. Not a fabricated version, our truth. Article 11. Everyone charged with an offense has the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. We seem to forget this one often. We rush to label, to condemn, to cancel, to cast judgment. Though integrity means offering grace, remembering that every person is more than their worst moment. To be held in fairness until the truth comes to light. Article 12. No one shall be subjected to arbitrary interference with their privacy, family, home, or correspondence. Respecting boundaries is an act of love. Privacy protects the sacred. It allows for authenticity to unfold and grow safely. Article 13. Everyone has the right to freedom of movement and residence within the border of each state. Everyone has the right to leave any country and to return. To be free is to explore, to migrate, to evolve, to share in this planet and all the beauty that is here. When we deny that right, we deny our shared humanity. Article 14. Everyone has the right to seek and to enjoy in another country's asylum from persecution. This is radical empathy, to open our hearts and our borders to those fleeing from harm. The true measure of civilization is how it treats the most vulnerable. Article 15. Everyone has the right to a nationality. Belonging is a basic fundamental human need. Beyond legal status, this reminds us that every single person deserves a home, a place of recognition, of refuge, a place of safety, a community. Article 16. Men and women of full age, without any limitation due to race, nationality, or religion, have the right to marry and to found a family. They are entitled to equal rights as to marriage, during marriage, and at its dissolution. Marriage shall be entered into only with the free and full consent of the intending spouses. The family is the natural and fundamental group unit of society and is entitled to protection by society and the state. Family isn't only biological, it's relational. Circles of care that we build through love, loyalty, presence, going beyond remembering that we are one family, the human family. Article 17. Everyone has the right to own property. This isn't about accumulation. This isn't about domination. This is about agency and domain of the heart. This is about the right to steward resources responsibly, to create, to build, to contribute. You have a place to call home. Article 18. Everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes freedom to change one's religion or belief, and the freedom either alone or in community with others, in public or private, to manifest one's religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance. Freedom of belief is the root of peace. It's honoring the sacred in every tradition, the right to seek truth in one's own way. Article 19. Everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. Speech is the essence of creation. And freedom of speech comes with responsibility to use words not as weapons, rather as instruments of co-creation, compassion, of care. As Florence Scovel Shinn says, our word is our wand. Article 20. Everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. Community is the true medicine. It's where we gather to dance, to pray, to protest, to dream, to play. Freedom lives in our ability to come together for a common good. To congregate, we are stronger in numbers. We are better together. Article 21. Everyone has the right to take part in the government of their country. Participatory governance is crucial. It requires all of us. It's the collective expression of responsibility and accountability for when we vote, speak, organize. We become the active participants and shapers of our shared destiny. Article 22. Everyone as a member of society has the right to Social Security. This isn't about handouts. This is about not having to choose between survival and dignity. A just society ensures that everyone has what they need to live a life of purpose and contribution, that we're all cared for, especially as we age and our limits may be compromised. Our funds may be diminished. Article 23. Everyone has the right to work, to just and favorable conditions of work. Work is honorable when it honors life, when it honors one another, when it values human capabilities when our time is respected. Integrity in work means doing what we love with excellence and with ethics. When this shows up, our society flourishes. It's not about metrics and goals, bottom line. It's about showing up with passion, purpose, and presence. It's about being of service. Article 24. Everyone has the right to rest and leisure. To rest is to remember that our worth isn't measured by productivity, rather by our presence, by who we are, simply as being an active participant in our shared humanity. Article 25. Everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for health and well-being. This is really where the heart of sustainability lies. No one should go hungry or homeless, while others drown in excess. This is the true heart of sustainability. That no one should go hungry or be homeless, or not have access to sanitary conditions and health care. A more harmonious and sustainable human experience is a moral design. Article 26. Everyone has the right to education. Education is liberation. It's how we awaken the potential, we build character, where we remember who we are. It's not just learning about what to think, but how to access critical thought, compassionate thought, creative thought. It's the bedrock of humanity. Reimagining education is where all of this could come to life. And it's one of the deepest passions for me, is reimagining how we educate, what is taught. Article 27. Everyone has the right to freely participate in the cultural life of the community. This is where the soul of humanity lives and breathes and speaks and dances and sings and paints. It's where we claim our aliveness, where we share our passion. Article 28. Everyone is entitled to a social and international order in which these rights can be fully realized. This is the systems piece. This is the design, the collective architecture. This is where we are called to build an order that is beyond form, where true transformation takes place in dignity, in reverence, in mutual respect and shared stewardship. This is where we get to create the greatest masterpiece ever. Article 29. Everyone has duties to the community. Rights and responsibilities are two sides of the same coin. Freedom without responsibility becomes chaos. Responsibility without freedom becomes tyranny. It's a both and experience. What happens in the spaces in between the extremes? This is where harmony lives. This is where we get to play. Article 30. Nothing in this declaration may be interpreted as implying for any state, group, or person any right to engage in any activity or to perform any act aimed at the destruction of any of the rights and freedoms set forth herein. In other words, integrity protects the foundation. The moment that we weaponize freedom against anyone's dignity, we violate the essence of what we claim to protect. So yes, it all begins with you. It begins with me. It begins with us. And it never ends there. Because our integrity isn't isolated. Our accountability ripples. Our compassion multiplies. Our courage gives others permission to rise. Living in harmony, sustainably, and in reverence isn't a philosophy. It's a practice, a moment-to-moment choice to honor these universal truths, not just with words, but in the way that we live, love, and lead. It all begins with you, with me, and continues moment to moment with us. So while the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a lofty document, they're not distant policy points. It's a blueprint for us. And it may not be perfect, but it's one thing that we have agreed on universally, internationally, unequivocally. So the question becomes, how are we doing? How well do our daily choices reflect these universal principles? Harmony doesn't begin with institutions. It begins within. It begins with integrity. It begins with me. It begins with you. Integrity means living what we believe, aligning our values with our behavior, our ideals with our actions, our rights with our responsibilities, because we can't demand justice if we are not willing to practice fairness. We can't call for peace if we don't know how to listen. We can't build trust if we don't tell the truth, especially when it's uncomfortable. There's one thing that we need more than innovation, than growth, than progress. It's trust. Trust is the invisible infrastructure of every thriving civilization. It's what allows us to cooperate, to create, to experience compassion at the relational level. Trust doesn't appear by accident. It's cultivated through accountability, through our choices. It's earned through consistency. It's built when we keep our word, when we own our mistakes, when we choose transparency over manipulation. Because when trust breaks down, systems collapse. When trust is restored, even the most divided communities can be rebuilt, revitalized, and the essence of who we are is remembered. We must learn to celebrate interdependence rather than fighting for independence. We need each other. To live sustainably is to live relationally, in right relationship, to recognize that our well-being is inseparable from the well-being of others and from the planet that sustains us. This is what I mean when I speak of reverence. It's not just an act of worship, it's an awareness. It's an embodied respect for the miracle of existence. Life isn't a resource to exploit. It's a relationship to honor, to cherish, to value so deeply, and to hold with responsibility. So let's talk about responsibility as our superpower. It's our ability to respond, to not react. When we take responsibility, we reclaim our agency. We stop waiting for everything to change. We stop waiting for systems to change, for something to happen out there. We start becoming the change. Personal accountability, choosing to act from integrity, even when it's inconvenient and uncomfortable. That's how collective evolution begins. One choice at a time. It's how we rebuild faith in one another. Because when we take care of ourselves, so does everything else. The small things, the words that we say, the promises that we keep, the way that we show up, these actions reverberate. They create fields of trust that extend far beyond what we can see. They echolocate what it is that we stand for, that we speak into existence, and it comes back to us. Because the great shift of our time isn't technological, it's relational. It's how we choose to be with one another, how we choose to see one another, how we bring empathy into our business, ethics into leadership, presence into politics. So my invitation is this. This is my call to action. Begin within. Before you demand change, embody it. Ask, am I living what I say I value? To listen more deeply, actively, not to reply, to receive, to feel, to understand, to let your listening become an act of love, to be fully present, to be with what's in front of you. Choose integrity over comfort. Speak the truth even if your voice shakes. Do what's right, even when no one sees it, especially when no one sees it. Build bridges rather than put up walls. Connect with those that you disagree with. Learn about them. Learn their why. Not to convince, simply just to connect, to learn. Protect what's sacred. Life, water, air, plants, animals, dignity, one another. Treat them all as holy, because they are. There is, without a doubt, another way. A way of being that restores dignity, revitalizes trust, and reawakens our shared humanity. I brought forth the Universal Declaration of Human Rights because it's a document that provides us the language. And again, it may not be perfect, but I share it with you because most people don't know that it exists. And it necessarily doesn't have to be that document. We can keep rewriting it to get it right. Though it's our hearts that must give it life. And it all begins, and it always begins with you. With me. With each and every single one of us. Because we are better together. And what I'm most curious about and what I would like to know is, what do you think that we could do to co-create a more sustainable and harmonious human experience for everyone on the planet? I would love to hear your ideas. I would love to hear any potential solutions, whether it's in areas of governance, in education, in technology, in justice, in food systems, or in any way, in any shape or capacity. So please drop it in the comments and let's build a discussion here. Let's create a conversation around this because it takes us all. This isn't just for those that are in policy, that are in design, that are in governance. This requires all of humanity coming together to represent what it is that we desire, what it is that we need as a collective. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being here at this most opportune time to write the course of humanity. If this conversation resonates, please share this. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe. to let this reverberate. Because every act, every moment lived in integrity is a revolution. All right, Welcome to a world, what we share is magnanimous. Ancestral lineage, tap into my conscience. Tiptoe the tightrope, let go with no-go. Surrender to the flow, now I know it's synonymous with the truth. Proof is in the story, a fine line is walked, though it's mandatory. Consistent with perspective as I hold the collective. Reticent medicine is all about the Benjamins. Frankly, hanky-panky has been happening since the Genesis. Telling us a parable of prejudice with eloquence to separate the evidence. A solution with benevolence, integrity and grace is my sole precedence. Freedom is the word, our voice is miraculous. Verbal acrobatics, reception is immaculate. A soul activator, social spectator, dream maker, narrator. Word is a wand, generation cycle breaker. Live between the lines, call outside the box. Creative perspective, somewhat orthodox. Unlock the voice box as we're speaking into existence. Elements of alchemy actually remind me of what I am intentionally. The breath of me said to me, I'm glad you never left me. A blessing in disguise, vaporize the life or death of me. You and me, unity, a recipe for harmony.